am Miki Matrician, co-managing partner of the Boston office of WR, and I'm here today with Kimberley Robidoux, a partner in San Diego. Hi, Kimberley.
Hey, how are you, Miki?
Good. All right. So since our last Rapid Fire Wednesday last week, we have additional questions that we can answer for our HR professionals. So let's get started. There was some excitement with the CAP H1 registrations at the end of last week. Kimberley, can you tell us what happened?
Sure. There were a lot of system errors, which prohibited our team members and other colleagues from actually entering the H1B CAP registrations, like no access to organizational accounts. So with those glitches and the system being down for a lengthy period of time, USCIS did announce that they were and had extended the CAP registration period until 9 a.m. on Monday, March 25th, which was yesterday. So everybody got a little bit more time. And if they needed to work over the weekend, they had that ability to do so as well.
Right. So now that the registration period has closed, can you tell us when we expect to receive the results of the lottery selection?
Yeah. So we were thinking that, with the registrations being required to be submitted by March 22nd, that we should hopefully have selections this week between March 25th and 29th. On the USCIS Tech Talk today, they did indicate that they would complete the selection by the end of this week, but prior to the beginning of the filing window, which is April 1st. So they were pretty wishy-washy on we might get something over this coming weekend, maybe before, but they don't know. So we'll have something by the 31st. And what will happen is that the representatives and the companies that submitted the registrations will receive an email from the Immigration Service that will say, we have taken an action on your case. You don't know what action has been taken. You don't know what specific case it is. So the representative and the company representative will need to log into their MyUSCIS organizational account and look to see what cases have been selected. And in those individual registrations, there will be a selection notice that the Immigration Service will post. They will not mail those out. So those will only be available in the organizational accounts.
Sounds good. Yeah. So sounds like same as last year in terms of the notification method.
Yeah, exactly.
So for those people who are selected, when do the H1 petitions need to be filed?
So the filing window is going to be from April 1st through June 30th. It's a 90-day window. So the H1B petitions do not need to be filed right on April 1st. But there is something that we want, everybody to know about, which is for those individuals who have especially OPT or STEM OPT that might be expiring before October 1st. It is definitely something that HR wants to take into account to make sure that those H-1B petitions are filed as soon as possible so that the individuals will be eligible to receive CAP-GAP. And what that CAP-GAP does is it extends the individual's F1 status until September 30th, as well as their work authorization, that OPT or STEM OPT, until September 30th as well, so that there won't be a gap in their ability to stay in the United States and continue to work. It's possible that that CAP-GAP could be extended until April 1st of next year. That was in a proposed regulation. We are watching that regulation closely to see if that's going to come to fruition. We're not quite sure when those regs will be finalized, but that is something that, we're staying tuned to.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. And if there are additional regulations that come down the pike and are effective, we'll let everybody know. Aside from those CAP-GAP situations, do you have any tips in general about the filing window?
Yeah, our recommendation is to not wait till the last minute, to file sooner rather than later. Sometimes USCIS can erroneously reject a package. With the change in the location where these petitions are to be submitted, if you're filing via, paper coming up on April 1st through June 30th, you just want to give yourself, within the company and attorneys as well, some additional time in case there is that erroneous rejection so you can turn around and get it submitted properly before June 30th.
Great. So one HR professional asked about the difference between change of status and consular processing. Can you talk about what change of status means?
Yeah, exactly. So when filing an H-1B petition, We can request via that petition that the Immigration Service grant a change of status to the individual, which means that as of the date of validity of the approved H-1B petition, so in most cases, to be October 1st, the individual, provided that they are in the United States when the H-1B petition is filed and remain in the U.S. until it is approved, will have their status automatically changed like that to H-1B. So they don't have to do anything in order to activate it. It is automatically taken care of with respect to the change of status. As of October 1st, their status will be H-1B, and they don't need to do anything. So they don't have to leave the United States. So it's a nice way to be able to stay in the U.S. and not have to travel anywhere.
Yeah, and from an employer's perspective, that's when you'd start deducting FICA taxes too, whereas during F1 status, F1 employees are exempt, but as of the date that they start their H-1B status, the deductions have to start. So what about consular processing? Can you explain that option?
Yeah, so consular processing means that the Immigration Service will review the request for the sponsoring of an individual for H-1B status. So they're reviewing whether or not the position is eligible for H-1B status if it's a specialty occupation, and that the individual also meets the qualifications required for H-1B classification. But the individual does not have to be physically in the United States when the petition is filed, nor when it's approved. So all that's happening is that the Immigration Service is taking action on the H-1B petition with respect to the job being offered in the individual. But there is no change in the individual status if they are in the United States. So they will not automatically change to H-1B status come October 1st, or if the H-1B petition is approved after October 1st. So in those scenarios, like you mentioned, some people might want to take advantage of the additional time period with not having to pay FICA taxes. Then what they would need to do in order to activate that H-1B status is to leave the United States, apply for a U.S. visa stamp at a U.S. consular post abroad, and then enter in the United States in order to essentially step into H-1B status. So, Miki, as a follow-up to that, sometimes our HR clients ask about situations where an employee in F1 status asks to file for consular processing so that they can first use up their F1 OPT or SEM-OPT period before stepping into H-1B because they want to push off the FICA taxes until later. Do you have any suggestions on how to handle those types of situations?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a tension, right? Because the F1 employee is saying, I don't want to be subject to the taxes because I don't really need to be, and I have work authorization through the duration of the OPT or the STEM extension. So, it's best to have a policy around this because from the employer's perspective, if you filed the H-1B petition for that employee, you want to know that they're in H-1B status, that they're using that cap number and getting the approval and activating that H-1B status. So that way, then they can start thinking about the green card process, sponsorship. So it's good to have a policy to kind of clarify what the parameters are of when an employee would need to activate their H-1B status if you did do consular processing. Some clients may want to say, within 1 year of the H-1B start date, the effective date of the H-1, to activate the H-1B status by applying for H-1B visa stamp abroad and coming back into the United States in H status, or it might be, by April 1st of the following year, whatever it may be that the company decides to do, but to document it and to make sure that managers and the employees themselves know of that policy.
Good advice.
Jumping into the next question, what should HR contacts know about implications of international travel on the H-1B process?
So at WR Immigration, we always ask beneficiaries if they have any international travel plans, because that can affect essentially any type of petition or application that we might be preparing on their behalf. So with international travel, especially related to the H-1B process that we're working on right now, individuals who are going to be in that cap gap scenario should not leave the United States. It's really important that they are aware of that they coordinate with their HR contacts and the attorneys, because people can leave the United States, right, Miki? But it's coming back. That can be a problem, and what status they'll be able to return to the United States on. So again, if there's any type of international travel plans, it's not that we're being nosy, but we want to make sure that the company is protected, the individual is protected, and we're able to get that H-1B status, or the individual will be able to continue to work. So it's really important to understand that international travel is really on a case-by-case situation. So just because one individual might seem to have a similar status to another or a similar situation, it really is individualized. It isn't, one size fits all, other than the recommendation to not travel internationally until you speak with the HR professional and the attorney to make sure that everything will be okay for international travel and return to the US.
Thanks, Kimberly. Yeah, we can't underscore the importance of that enough. So that's it. That's a wrap for us today for the Rapid Fire Wednesday. If you have any questions, please post a comment or send us a direct message. If you don't already follow us, please follow us on our LinkedIn page for WR Immigration and for Kimberly's and my profile. Fingers crossed for high selection rates this year for everybody.
Hope so. Good luck.
Good luck, everyone. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.